This meeting of the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs will come to order. Clerk will establish quorum.
David Mitchell.
Present.
Terry McClung.
Here.
Joyce Zeller.
Here.
Dee Perkypile.
Here.
Mickey Schneider.
Here.
James DeVito.
Mr. DeVito, I guess, went on vacation today. He won't be back until February sometimes. Says he's doing on a plane. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Next will be approval of the agenda and motion to discuss.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's open. Yes, sir.
Would it be possible to move number 7 under new business to follow public comments since the owner of 10 Alamo has an attorney with her present?
If you can get a second, it is.
I'll second.
All right. Made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I don't think we really have to even vote on the agenda issues, but moved.
Right after public comments?
Yes.
Any further? Yes, sir.
Would it be possible under new business to add the topic of town hall meeting and priorities for 2013?
We can do that on the agenda setting.
Oh,
We can move that on. That's okay. That's one we have. That was a good question. Yeah, we'll do that on the agenda setting since it's new business, not added to the agenda now. Any others? Okay. All in favor of the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next will be approval of the minutes for December the 10th, 2012. Motion to discuss.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Floor is open. Any additions, deletions, changes? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Agenda is approved. Next will be Commission, Committees, Authority Reports, and Expired Terms. Excuse me. As we go down through these, I'll tell you, you should have applications for nominations for several people, but we'll go through each one. Planning, we don't have anything from planning tonight, at least scheduled. CAPC, you should have a nomination for a Robert Schmid for position number 1, CAPC. Consider him for nomination. And the hospital should have 2. Dr. Jack Pritchard, who's currently on the commission, and MJ Sell for position number 6. And Dr. Pritchard is currently holding position number 5. Excuse me. Under Parks, Ferguson Stewart for position number 4. He's a new guy in town and took a lot of interest in our city government, wants to be part of it. He's a good guy. Nothing under HDC and nothing under cemetery. Any comments? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Bobbie Foster's position has already expired. Is that correct?
Apparently
is she willing to?
We've had no contact with her. No contact with her at all.
She's good. So
yeah.
I would like to recommend that she be renominated if.
We have
however that works.
We have to get another application from her if she even wants to be. She hasn't expired.
It's coming. It's coming through. It's coming down the
okay.
pipe. Okay. All right. Good. Because I didn't like seeing that like that.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Are you entertaining nominations tonight or just announcing?
These are just the ones that we had previously nominated and turned down by the prior council. Some of them. I think Mr. Stewart was not one of those, but he's a new yeser.
So are we just looking at these and we'll vote the next meeting?
Year. That's what we've been doing.
Thank you.
Okay. Nothing else? Then we will move on to public comments. Oh, Rick? Okay. All right. Sorry, Rick. I didn't know you was here for that. I thought you were just here to look at us good-looking people. I'm sorry. We do have something under CAPC. I'll eat my words tonight.
Rick Bright, the Finance Director at the CAPC. I'm required by law to quarterly give the City Council and the Mayor a report on finance for the CAPC funds. You should have had a copy of this in your box, but I'll kind of just go through it. Our total collections through December of 2012 is $1,194,828. in order to generate that money, it takes $39.8 million in sales, and that's just for lodging and restaurants. So it just kind of shows you the amount of money that the tourists actually bring into this city. Our total income through December is $1,241,186. The bank balance as of December 31st was $74,315.53. Compared to 2011, tax collections are up 9.64%, which equals $105,075, which is $3.5 million in sales more than last year. The auditorium income through December is $37,554.93. This is a gross amount. We don't keep separate books on the auditorium, but this would be ticket sales and auditorium rental fees, which we collected through the year. The auditorium expenses and labor paid through the CAPC through December is $115,861.05. The loss of the difference between the income and what was paid out of $78,306.12 is absorbed through the CAPC funds. I've attached to that the breakdown of all the expenses and income breakout. For the first time in many years, the wedding market did not have a triple-digit decrease. In 2012, this courthouse, the Western District Courthouse, sold 13 less licenses than 2011. For the past probably 10 years, that we've lost over 100 wedding license sales per year. So hopefully we've staled that loss off and we'll start moving back up next year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, do you have any questions? Sorry.
Any questions for Rick? No, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
All right. Under public comments, apparently it's been altered a little bit to say number 0 is Mr. Greg Moon. Unless I'm just reading this wrong.
Yes, correct.
Huh?
Correct.
Okay. Since there is no number 0, we'll tolerate it this time, but not again. Mr. Moon.
She didn't want to go first, so.
Okay.
I have two things, actually. First of all, I'm here to support Melissa on the nightly rental. I think it's a good idea. All these houses, if they're nightly rentals, they get fixed up and cleaned up and looking good and collect revenue on them, and it's good for the community. Second of all, I'm sure you've all seen this in the newspaper. You all said we would never see this, but we have seen it. And this is in a park where children play. There's also illegal deer hunting going on up on White Street at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and it has been reported also, and nothing's been done. So I hope that the new people in this council are a little bit more friendly to animals when this comes up again. Thank you.
Miss Denny Flaherty. Yes, ma'am. We'll wait on you.
I'm so nervous.
My name is Denny Flaherty. I live at 15 Pivot Rock Road. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Congratulations to our new council. I'm here on behalf of the problem at 10 Alamo. I brought two things. One is the city municipal code, number 6, under submission requirements. The names, current addresses, as provided by the Carroll County Tax Assessor and Zoning Director, adjacent properties, property owners, all within 200 feet of the property in every direction, including those across the street or alleys from the property in question. That's what I went by with trying to make my decision. I also took about an hour and a half to go to the property. I looked around it. It's in wonderful condition, has a little potting shed in the back, perfectly maintained. And as I knocked on the doors, I found that most of the places were rentals. I even stopped a couple of passing cars and asked if they had a problem. I didn't find one single person that had a problem with this request. I'll be quick. I know it's a long meeting, and sorry. But part of this is so important because it's our actual minutes from the meeting. We are shorthanded. We only have 4 commissioners, and Melissa Green, who is one of our commissioners, had to recuse herself. That left us with 3 and a big problem. I'll just read this part. Mr. Rundell thanked everyone who offered the feedback and objected to the insinuations that Ms. Green used her position of influence with the commissioners. She did not. Within his count, within the neighborhood was 5 and 4 for it, 5 against it, 4 for it. We did not receive the communications that he was toting with him. So that was moot point. We again looked at the 200 feet of the people that commented, her count of 3 in favor and 1 in opposition. And it was noted. I reflected on the comments regarding the care taken by the Greens in choosing their tenants. And that's important. I understand that neighborhood had been a drug neighborhood and it's cleaned up now. And I felt that the people were hospitable, very polite, and nobody ran me off, and nobody seemed to have a problem with me asking them about her conditional use permit. Traffic congestion, please. What happened was Mr. Rundell moved to table until the next meeting so he could gather more information. Ms. Blankenship seconded. The motion failed, with Morris and Flaherty saying no. Ms. Green recused herself. Ms. Blankenship called for a vote on the initial motion to approve the permit. The motion failed 3-1, with Mr. Rundell saying no. So Mrs. Green's only recourse was to come here to the City Council for your consideration. And I support her wholeheartedly, and I don't think she got a fair shake. There weren't enough of us. So if I may add that we sure do need some more commissioners, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Bring them to me.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Number 2 would be Margie Anderson, if I'm reading this right. Okay. Hi, Margie. Come on in. Yeah, it's on, so I've been laying it. Just lay it right there.
Okay. Hi, I'm Margie Anderson, and I live on Emporia Avenue. Even though it's a dead-end street, it's officially Avenue. I'm here on behalf of myself, my husband, and my neighbors who live on Emporia. I'd like to read you my letter. I will leave a copy of it with each of you for record. My home is located on Emporia. I have resided there for 30 years. This city street is a dead-end street. Some of my neighbors rent out part of their homes to provide much-needed residential living for citizens who cannot afford to purchase a home. This has been the flavor of our neighborhood since its inception. Some years ago, possibly 12, a property owner went before the Planning Commission to change their status. And at that time, Lamont Ritchie and the commissioners agreed with those of us who opposed overnight rentals in our neighborhood. The commission guarded our environment, leaving it for us to enjoy as it was originally planned, a personal investment in the community for owner-occupied residents. Sorry, my heart is speeding. When the CUP for 10 Alamo came before the Planning Commission, there were many who stepped up to speak in favor of the Greens. However, the majority of these people could only vouch for them as good and reputable property rental managers and owners of overnight rentals. This clearly had no relevance. These kind folks do not reside in our neighborhood. There were, however, 3 that spoke up that do, and those were in favor of the Greens. Letters were read and entered into the record. However, 2 could not be read because they were not printed. One of the commissioners received them, his printer was broken, and the most important one of those I'm going to share with you is Mr. Swenson's, because his property adjoins the Greens' property. Residential neighborhoods have already intruded upon our city to a large degree. Residential neighborhoods have been intruded upon. Transients change the dynamics. We are left with strangers in our neighborhoods. It only takes one CUP to be approved before the neighborhood heritage is consumed. Our historic boulevard is a good example of this. I strongly believe it should be stopped now and that our existing neighborhoods should be protected. I am very familiar with 10 Alamo. This little cottage was saved from bankruptcy by my daughter in 2001. She renovated it and she loved it. She resided there with her daughter. The Greens purchased this home from her. I am in hopes that this will be saved as a residential property. It is a sweet home for a couple or a single person. And finally, I ask that you uphold the decision of the Planning Commission. Now, I need to correct that since this young lady...
Margie, you've run out of time.
Since this young lady has changed her position from the last meeting. But I do want to ask you to adopt a master plan and preserve our neighborhood.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, I have to share this. I know more, so I'm out of my 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. You can handle
4
it.
of you got a letter from Tom Swenson. He adjoins the property. 4 of you did not. These are signatures from my neighbors. I have 24 signatures. They are all opposed to this. There's a copy for all of you. That's the original end. We want to preserve what we have. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead and send David in. He's next on the list.
You're next.
Can we ask any questions here, or is we can't
Not
ask
in
questions?
public comment, no. We can discuss it on when it comes up
Okay.
on the agenda. David? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
David's out in the hall taking his clothes off.
Many coats.
You're up. Go ahead and...
Thank you. My name is David Anderson, and I reside at 21 Emporia with my wife Margie, who you just met. We have lived there some 30-odd years, and our history, we've only had one other conditional use permit come before us in our neighborhood, and the Planning Commission at that time elected not to grant that because of the properties in our neighborhood that none are nightly rental units. We have some monthly rental units, and these people are permanent residents, so we welcome that and would like to continue to have that in our neighborhood. Municipal League planner said it best in one of their meetings recently that nightly rentals are not a cohesive part of residential neighborhoods and should not be allowed. I thought that was worth saying. And when the Planning Commission met, they discussed the 200-foot code and close neighbors, but one of those particulars was not heard. And we just feel like that in changing neighborhood codes, we should stay in a particular way that the neighborhood is in residential, and not add any commercial nightly rentals in there. And we have really nothing against this location and these people. They have done a great job in keeping that property up and renting it monthly, and we'd like to for that to continue to stay a monthly rental, and please don't allow nightly rentals to mess up our cohesiveness of our residential neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Mr. Mark Hicks. Go, Mark.
Hi.
Yeah, let me.
That's all right. I can put down. Thank you.
Please, go ahead.
I'm Mark Hicks. I'm just here in support of Joe and Melissa Green. I feel they would be an asset to any neighborhood in either capacity, either as a resident or a property manager. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jerry Landrum. Hello, Jerry.
Jerry Landrum,
Did she have a
19
date?
Kimberly.
Did she
Here
mention a
again,
date?
on behalf of the Citizens Climate Action Progress Committee, and got a little handout for you. We've been at it, doing what we can. If you go around that way, you go around this way. On the front, I have a picture for one page of our website. We had a website, esclimate.org, and this is under the, if you push the Take Action button, it brings this up. And so what I've tried to do there is to compile a list of things that people can do, both business and residential. At the top is item 0 is to contact your congressman, and the phone number's got abbreviated there because I had to shrunk it down to fit onto a page. Number 1 down there is calculate your carbon footprint. Brings up a calculator so people can assess where they are now. State and federal incentives brings up the database of state and federal incentives website. The low carbon diet is this book right here, and we've got those in the library now for checkout, and that's a great way for people to go through their houses and lives and see what they can do there. Also, you can check out an energy meter. That's number 9 down on the list there from the library, and that's these little gizmos here that you can use to evaluate all your plug loads. Plug this into the wall, plug your device in there, and I'll show you exactly what everything uses. Number 4 ties you into the Office of Human Concerns Arkansas Weatherization Program, and they offer free services to weatherize people's houses if you meet their income requirements, which for one person household would be a maximum of $1,805 monthly income. For a family of 4, $3,675. So if your income is less than that, you can get free services from that website. Number 5, you can, if you're a Cal Electric customer, you can punch into their program right there and get yourself a free energy audit. Number 6 is for SWEPCO. SWEPCO's got an outstanding incentive program for both residential and commercial, and we have a local person who's qualified in. It's Bill Freeland. And so he's on their list, and we've got several of our air conditioning and heating vendors that are also qualified there. And a few other things there, so I want to encourage you to go into our website. We're making some progress on in a lot of different areas here. Walmart, for instance, has got these light bulbs right here. This one replaces a 25-watt bulb, uses 1.7 watts. So you can see that with these type of savings, it's really realistic to meet our goals on climate action. A few other things we're looking at now is the Fayetteville city has teamed up with the Chamber of Commerce offering this Greenway program, and they've got a lot of participation from their businesses over there, and that's something that we can do here. And Melissa has these books here, the guidelines for integrating sustainability with the historic preservation. All great stuff. So a lot of challenges. Mississippi River is dried up to half, and they can't even get the coal barges down anymore. And so there's a connection there. You burn enough coal to alter the climate, it shifts the rainfall patterns, and the Mississippi River dries up. So sometimes we're shooting ourselves in the foot. I want to thank everybody for
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, boys.
You bet. Okay, number 6 is K, and I apologize, I can't read the last name, but there shouldn't be any more than 1 or 2 Ks out in the hallway. K Dandy? Okay. She may not be that tall.
You are right like a doctor. I used to work for one.
Yeah, you must. How are you, Kay?
Fine. My name is Kay Dandy, and I live at 223 Spring Street, and I'm here to support Joe and Melissa Green with their nightly lodging on 10 Alamo Street. I was here last week at the Planning Commission, and I just wanted to say that we live in the middle of B&Bs and overnight lodging, and then people that have their own private houses here that aren't here half of the time, and we've been here 12 years now, and I probably know more of my neighbors than I ever knew in Springdale, and I lived there 37 years in a completely residential area. And the other night, or afternoon, my husband and I drove by 10 Alamo. And I don't know if anybody's been by there, but it's tucked in the corner there. It is one of the neatest properties on that street. And I just don't see what the problem is. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'll remember your name next time. I knew your first name. But that'll do it for public comment. As requested a while ago, we have moved number 7. I got mine in the zone. Number 7 from new business up to proceed our unfinished business. So, motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second. Main second. Floor is open.
Okay. The first thing
Let's see. How do y'all want to do this now? Do y'all want to hear from Melissa first, since she has her attorney here?
As opposed to
It's your
what?
coast. As to discussing, finding out what it's all about, or you're just going to
Let's
let
go
her
ahead
talk?
and get the groundwork and then discuss. Okay.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Melissa Green. First, I want to say, on April 13th, 2000, a CUP was issued for number 10 Alamo for a home-based business, and acupuncture doctor had it. So there has been a CUP on it. Second, I want to show you the 200 feet is right here. This is where my cottage is. Now, I didn't get this marked right. This is a pink house right here, which the pink are the residentials. Here is a pink, and here is a pink. The blue here is all rentals. This is I think a 10 to 12 unit motel right there. This is Highway 62. Right out of my driveway is commercial property. This is all commercial property here. Okay, in your packet, I would please ask you, there is a summary that was written up by Glenna Booth that will outline the meeting. I am here for an appeal because of what I felt is commissioner impropriety. one of our commissioners gathered information and did not bring it forward. And I'm sorry for a couple of letters that were written that weren't given to the proper channel. They do not have the right to be heard, or were not given the right to be heard, because I, as an applicant, have the right to a fair and open meeting. Arkansas statute, the Freedom of Information Act, passed in 1967, declares that I have the right to a fair and open meeting, and I was not given it. I would like to read, since the chair of the Planning Commission and the vice chair cannot be here for other commitments, but the vice chair wrote a letter, and I think this kind of sums it up the best. I'm writing this letter because I am deeply troubled by the proceedings, results, and aftermath of the January 8, 2008 BOZA meeting and public hearing relating to Joseph and Melissa Green's application for a CUP at 10 Alamo in Eureka Springs. I would have preferred to address the City Council in person, but prior plans for the evening, my birthday dinner, took precedence. The applicants met all requirements for a CUP. The public hearing went well. When the vote came before BOZA, Commissioner Rundell tendered a motion to table the motion to approve till the next scheduled meeting of BOZA. His reasoning was that he wanted to allow more time for voices in opposition to come forward with comments. The records will show at the time no other commissioner could find cause to delay the action on the pending application. Also, there is no law or precedent noted that supports such an action, except in extreme cases where discovery of new evidence for cause has been presented. The motion to table failed. The question was called on the motion to approve the application, and the motion failed 3A, 1 opposed, with Commissioner Rundell casting the vote to deny. Proper notice had been published, notices sent to the residents as required by law, a sign posted as required at the address concerned. There were some negative concerns, speculations, and opinions offered during the public hearing, but not a shred of evidence was presented to verify any stated concerns. The official record and the letters entered into record will show a vast majority of the public favored the application, the approval of the application. Mrs. Green will present her own reason why she has chosen to apply for a CUP as tourist lodging rather than continue as the weekly rental unit. Commissioner Rundell expressed his concerns about the impact on the pending actions because of the conversations, some by phones and other means, and emails he had from residents in the area. This is a real concern to me, as it appears to violate the ex parte provision of the law concerning items coming before the board. This must be addressed. I would probably have left any further action on my part to the appeals process if I had not received a copy of the letter Commissioner Rundell sent to Alderman Zeller. Mr. Rundell's accusations and misinformation is an undeserved discredit to all of those serving on the past and present planning commissions. Some of his accusations, insults, and misinformation are: he stated openly states what other commissioners believe is a mistake. He has zero ability to know what we individually believe. He states that we, other commissioners, don't get it. He states in two places that the area concerned has been up until now strictly a residential neighborhood. A little research would show that on 4/13/2000, a CUP was issued for 10 Alamo to Dr. Tom Haid for home acupuncture business. There is no record or evidence of a negative impact on the area due to this previous CUP. Further research may show even more past uses for that area. Yes, it was a bakery at one time. He states that a CUP must amount to a zoning change. Not true. He states that a CUP must be in the best interest to all concerned. Not true. He states that a CUP is special permission. Not true. It's conditional. He states that a CUP goes against the plan. Not true. It is part of the plan. That all the houses in the area are small houses. Not true. Some are even multi-dwelling houses. That not speaking your view at a public hearing is irrelevant. That's why there are public hearings required by the law. He stated that emails and phone calls are as important as speakers, not if they are not entered into the record. Consideration is of the same as a courtesy. That the majority of the public opinion to oppose the application, but my straw poll showed 14 in favor and 4 opposed. The record will show the precise tally. I respect Commissioner Rundell's right to an opinion, but his opinion must not take precedence over the rule of law and reason. I have many more thoughts relating to all of this issue, but I will reserve them until the CUP is addressed and settled by the City Council. The fact that the petitioner, Melissa Green, sits on the Planning Commission BOZA does not influence my decision on this matter in any way. I hold her to the same standards I would ask of any application for the process. I question whether this application was denied because of the personal agenda, not for the just cause. I strongly urge the approval of this appeal as it reflects the true spirit of the law concerning the conditional use permit. Further delays or hardship to the applicant would be unjust. I want to say this. I run a weekly rental. I am not breaking any laws.
Melissa, why don't you go ahead and say?
James Earl Morrison, Vice Chair of the BOZA and Planning Commission. I'm sorry. I'm not breaking any laws doing this. I decided to apply for a tourist lodging CUP as the only opposition I have had at the City Council was that I had not gone through the process and applied for a CUP. I did this as a courtesy to my 200-foot adjacent neighbors so that they may have a say in it. I also respect the neighbors farther down. Two of the neighbors that spoke tonight, they're not considered neighbors, they're area residents, live a quarter of a mile away. One of the letters that was put into record, she lives a third of a mile away. I doubt very seriously, unless my tenants or renters are out walking, that they even go down into that neighborhood. And I do respect that that is a neighborhood. And if, like I said at the planning, if my cottage was a block or two farther down, I wouldn't be here applying. I wouldn't feel it would be right for that neighborhood. But where I'm at is basically a commercial neighborhood anyway. So I humbly and respectfully ask, because I was not given a fair hearing. There were emails and ex parte, and I, as an applicant, deserve the right to a fair hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Matt?
I have just, sorry, Matt
Why don't you raise this up, Matt?
And am I not loud enough for you?
Well, you are for me, but I don't know about the rest of us.
How's that?
Yeah.
My name's Matt Bishop. I represent Miss Green. I'm here on two things. Number one, I'm here because my client's here against my advice. She has the ability to rent weekly. I told her it's easier. You don't have to worry. You don't need permission. But she came here for a CUP, which allows you to put conditions on it. The other thing about a CUP, which you probably all know, is it's not transferable. If she sells it, you do not have to give it to the next person necessarily. So that's number one. The second thing is I heard someone say this is against your plan. In fact, it's not against your plan. She can only apply for a CUP for certain limited uses, which you in your code deemed appropriate with the conditions in this residential area. She couldn't apply for a CUP to run an in-ground mining operation. Very limited things which you've already decided through your code are consistent with a residential neighborhood. And that's why you have the conditions, and it's a conditional use permit because you can put conditions on it. So I strongly encourage you to consider her appeal and to overturn the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Where my cottage is, it is in R2. Tourist lodging is allowed in R2. So,
Thank you. Floor is open. Comments at the table. Ms. L.
Is there, okay, this list of petitioners, it doesn't have a date on it. When was this list compiled? Was this before or after the public hearing?
Don't know. This is my first time seeing it, too.
Well, if this didn't, okay, what is its relevance? Okay.
Go ahead.
That would have been since the 8th. The meeting was on the 8th.
And these
unlock it.
these were collected when?
Since the 8th.
On the 8th?
Since the 8th.
Okay, but these people were not at the public hearing.
I don't know the answer to that question.
After the hearing.
no, these people were not here. I've never seen this before, which in reality I should be allowed to see this before it's entered
This was
into.
not handed out at the meeting when you were there
No.
applying?
No.
It didn't
No.
exist.
Then
No, it
this
didn't
is,
exist.
This is after the fact, is
This
what
is
you're telling
after
me?
the fact.
Because it came to you, Joyce. Because it came to you, I did that.
Oh, I'm okay. I don't want
because-
to get into
Oh,
a
no.
fight
I
here.
just want you to
want
know why you
information.
have it, because Planning Commission sent it to council. That gave me the opportunity to talk to my neighbors. So it is after the fact of the Planning Commission, but they sent it to you So in a timely manner, before you had your meeting tonight, I went and talked to my neighbors.
But the planning commission did not send us the council before the public knew that there was an application and that there was going to be a public hearing.
Correct.
You're
Okay.
correct on that.
That's
But
what I
Tom
wanted to know.
Swinson's letter that I gave you was not read at the planning commission, and he is an adjoining property owner, and I would like for you to read it and put it in the record tonight, because it was not read at the planning commission meeting, because one of the commissioners who received it, his printer did not work. He had Tom Swinson's name to enter into the record, but the letter was never read, and he is an adjoining property owner, and it should be read and put in the record this evening, because
Well,
that
why-
was,
Okay, why was this not read at the meeting?
because the
Properly obtained.
the gentleman
Oh.
that received it could not print it on his printer. That was Ken.
He could have.
Well, how did you know it was there if it wasn't
Melissa,
printed?
could
You
not
had
We
no
print
can't, we
hard
can't have
copy?
two people talking at one time.
You didn't have a hard copy of this letter for that meeting? That's
It
how
was
you know?
sent by email,
Okay.
and you have a copy of it. I gave 4 of you had it.
I do not have a copy of an
Okay.
email.
I put
Yes.
4 on the
Do I?
table
Yes, that's the one
for
we just
those
got,
who did
this one.
not receive
Oh, that one,
it.
okay.
So you may be one of the 4, Joyce, that didn't receive
There
it.
you go.
Okay,
So you had,
okay,
And then
okay.
I'll go, so.
nope, Mr. McClung,
I just was going to make a statement that, in defense of that petition, I mean, it wasn't even needed prior anyway, because it was, the CUP was turned out. And she only brought that in support of her, or that stance, because it was coming to this table.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm only concerned about how many people objected, and
Okay.
these were not presented as objectors at the public hearing.
May-
That's the only
may I
thing concerns
comment?
me.
okay, well, let them ask you, okay?
Okay.
Let 'em.
There is only one person on here that is a 200-foot adjacent property owner. The record, let me clarify something. Mr. Rundell was sent emails. He corresponded with these people. You can forward an email to the proper channels. It was not properly channeled to either Glenna, the chair, or the mayor. That's why it could not be read, because it's ex parte. And I'm sorry, at that meeting, I did acknowledge that letter, and I did say that he was a 200-foot neighbor, because I really feel that he, too, was, not represented right. And that's hurtful. That's hurtful to that man, just as it's hurtful to me.
Mr. Mitchell.
In discussion with what the attorney had said, I spent some time really trying to read this code to get up to date because I wanted to be educated on this topic. And under the zoning on page 401 for residential R2 contemporary residential, it says conditional uses. The following is a list of conditional uses in the contemporary residential area. These uses require a conditional use permit: bed and breakfast, boarding house, education, healthcare provider, tourist lodging. So there is a list of conditional uses that can be applied for in R2, of which obviously this one is one. Number 2, there seems to be some concern about a lot of the neighbors and the people. And the code on page 441 says, when a conditional use application has been opposed in writing by more than 20% of the adjacent property owners, that's defined as within 200 feet. And I just wanted to clarify those 2 points there.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions? Mr. Pritchard.
So the one objector that is within 200 feet of the property, is he the pink rectangle?
He is down below me. Show me the map. Okay, see where my green is?
Right.
Okay, kind of kitty corner from that, and it's kind of looks like it's right. No, other direction, right there. Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's this pink
Yes,
one
sir.
above.
Yes, sir.
How, in your opinion, how would the use that you propose for this impact his house value, the noise in the neighborhood?
When I went and talked to him, he knew I was running a weekly rental, and he said he had no problem with it. Miss Schneider told me at one time she didn't even know I was running one. I have quiet, screened people. If there's ever any problem, they're gone. I don't allow this. We have 11 cottages that we either own or manage. In 10 years, I've had 3 police reports. 2 were for some damage inside that I had to have a police report for the insurance things, and 1 was when a drunk hit the side of the bungalow. That's it. I've never had... I'm very conscientious. We don't want problems in anywhere, whether it's residential, commercial.
Okay. Can I follow up on
Yes,
that?
please.
So, is this operating now
Yes, sir, as a weekly rental.
as a weekly rental? When you
Yes,
say
sir.
weekly rental, I mean, does that mean
What it is?
one day?
No, they rent by the week. I can't.
Okay.
Sometimes they stay a week. Sometimes they stay 5 days. Sometimes they stay a month.
Okay, so what would your typical length of stay be?
What I'm doing, probably a week. That's basically what I had. I had one that stayed a month. I had one that stayed 3 weeks. It was a family that was taking care of their father's estate. What a tourist lodging would give me would be, if I wanted to rent it by the night, yes. I would prefer not to. We're busy enough already. This just, for me, I think it's a great business. People want to come into town. They're looking at properties. They're visiting their parents. They want a house. They don't want a motel room with a microwave. They want a house with a full kitchen. You know, they enjoy it.
One other question. So, the difference between this as a weekly rental, in your mind, and then a monthly rental, which all these blue rectangles are monthly rentals, which nobody has an objection to, is that financially you garner more money that way?
Not really. I mean, when you run a commercial property like this, everything's higher. And you've got to pay for all the utilities, the cable, the Wi-Fi, higher insurance. No, there's not really a financial gain. What I like about it is it gives me control of the house. We've been doing work on the house. I can go over and work on it. I keep it clean. I keep the yard maintained. I have control of it. We are planning, hopefully, maybe to retire in about 4 or 5 years. So, you know, it's for us. It's just an easier thing for us. We've had monthly rentals. Some were okay. Some were not.
You done, Dick. Mr. Mitchell, go ahead.
Ms. Green, I have a question for you. Your attorney brought up a second ago, you're running weekly rental right now.
Yes.
And everything, and the reason you applied for the CUP
Was it
because at the time when the prior council came up and there was that discussion,
Right.
a lot of discussion about weekly rentals, and
Right.
and the
Yes.
city attorney had drafted an ordinance
Yes.
and everything
Yes.
to deal with that issue. There were things in that ordinance that people have, as it is on the books right now, that didn't require you to do certain things. So
Right.
you're actually going to a higher standard
of accountability.
Accountability for your property.
Yes.
And also, it's a permit that doesn't transfer with the property. So you actually have a lot more restrictions if you
Right.
get a CUP than
Right.
if you stay
Yes.
weekly.
And I felt that was a courtesy for this neighborhood. I don't have to do this. This is a very expensive endeavor. With a lawyer and everything, but I feel like, again, I'm going to reiterate, I was not given a fair hearing, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Okay.
There was just one member that was absent, is that correct?
No, our
You were
commission
all there.
is so small, and I would, of course,
And you recused.
Yes.
So, and how many spots are vacant on the planning commission?
There are 2.
2.
So there was only 5 of us there, and one of us had to recuse.
The problem I have is that, you know, I hate for the council to get stuck in trying to micromanage, and it's a responsibility of the planning commission. If you had the 2 additional members, it might have been a different outcome, and then it might not have. I mean, there's no way to say one way or the other.
Terry, if 20% of my adjacent property owners would have spoken against me, I would have been fine with this. I wouldn't be standing here. I do want to point out that I had 2 letters of adjacent property owners that wrote in favor of me. And the biggest property owner in that circle is Ann Martin, and she wrote in favor. She owns a good share of the property in my 200 feet, and she wrote for me. She does not feel it's a problem.
Giselle?
Well, what bothers me about this, by denying this CUP, we're interfering with her ability to do business because she clearly has a legal right to have that kind of property in an R2 residential zone. And I was given a list somewhere in this maze of papers of all the requirements you have to meet to be qualified for a CUP in an R2, and she met all of these requirements. And I have a great deal of respect for Mr. Morris, who wrote this letter, and I just got this today, but I have a great deal of respect for his opinion. What disturbs me a little bit about here is that he detected during that meeting, he was at the meeting, and he detected some evidences of personal prejudice and malice, which bothers me because that is a very common occurrence in this town for things. And what worries me is that we're denying, if we don't overrule this, we're denying her the right to do business there, which makes us culpable legally because we don't have a leg to stand on, neither does the Planning Commission. And we got into a mess years ago over this and over a vote that had a little bit of malice in it from the Planning Commission, and it ended up years and years in court and costing us money. So I don't see that we have any recourse here except to overrule the Planning Commission and to grant this CUP. That's my opinion.
May I comment one more thing? And out of the 19 conditions that I was to meet, I met every one of them. There was absolutely no discussion at all when Beverly read them off. Nobody had a statement. I met every obligation of my application, and I feel that I should have been given this conditional use. And I agree with Ms. Zeller. I felt a personal agenda. I want to believe it was not directed at me and that it was not malice. I think it was directed at something else. But I know I've been a commissioner for 9 years. I've been nominated and elected unanimously 4 times to various commissions. And it speaks for my honesty, my integrity, my willingness to follow the law. And I have followed the law to the T here, and I feel like I deserve this. Thank you. I will respectfully ask.
Ms. Snyder?
Well, this is my neighborhood we're talking about. I live on Emporia, and contrary to what Dave Anderson said, we have lived there longer than anyone on the street. And apparently, looking at this list and from having gone to the Planning Commission meeting, I'm the only neighbor that Elaine Van Atta didn't bother to contact. I'm not on the list. She never called me, stopped by. I've been off for the winter, so I've been there. Maybe it's because she understands I go by the law rather than personal feelings. Where this house is, and I spoke at the Planning Commission in regards to the one thing the commissioners needed to keep in mind was all CUPs are decided on an individual basis. So the fear that's been bandied about that if they would grant a CUP there, that would slaughter my whole little neighborhood because if you give it to one, you have to give it to another. It's a lot of BS. You go by individual stuff. I also warn people then, I'm all for this in regards to it's not my neighborhood. I am not the 200-foot radius, but heaven help you if you come down Emporia and try something like this because it'll get turned down. I know my neighborhood. I am number 14 Emporia. Elaine has talked to everybody on every side of me, every side. And all the way down the street, 2 to 3 blocks away from where this house is, and they're concerned that something in a commercial zone all those blocks away is going to hurt them? That doesn't even make sense. I also pointed out during my comments that where this house is located, they come off the highway, they drive 1 block to the house, 1 block out onto the highway. They don't even have to go through my neighborhood. With the school traffic we get going down Anderson, I don't think we'd even notice if somebody went that way. My little neighborhood, which is like the #1 neighborhood in the whole town in regards to consideration, caring, knowing each other. We do Secret Santa every year, every house on the block. We do all of this. It's a very tight-knit little neighborhood. We're not going to be bothered by something that's this many blocks away, and I'm one of the closest neighbors. I am barely outside the 200-foot radius and didn't even know what was going on because there hasn't been a problem. There won't be a problem. I mean, good grief. This is getting ridiculous. I don't know why people are up in arms. I don't know why they think that letting something blocks away from them is going to change our neighborhood, which ain't going to happen. I don't know why they're up in arms over this except for one person. Now, I checked with our city attorney because my personal understanding was you listen to everybody, whether they're in the neighborhood or anywhere in our city area. You listen to them, but your final decision is made on the 200-foot radius. And he said, no, you actually can take other information into consideration, what others have said. Regardless if you use the 200-foot or the whole freaking town, the overwhelming response has been in favor of, except for this list of my neighbors that I was not included in. And had I known it was going on prior to the meeting, I would have been hitting all my neighbors and saying, excuse me, let's turn our brains on. So, that is my opinion from my neighborhood, which is directly, apparently, being affected by this. And I have lived there almost 31 years.
Mr. Perkins.
Melissa,
Yes, sir.
How long have you been operating this?
I want to say one thing first. Marge Anderson stuck her head in. She said she was the one that gathered the petition. I've been running it for 10 months.
During that period of time, have there been any complaints or concerns voiced
Nobody.
by anybody?
Nobody knew it was going on until she said the name, Elaine Vanetta, came on my property. I had 2 people staying. She was from Ireland. It was a young couple. His mother lived in the area. They rented it a month. She came on my property, harassed them, told them they were not welcome. They were there against the law, took pictures of them, then confronted my husband and said she was someone else. And when she admitted at the end, no, that she wasn't that person, he said, who are you? And she refused to tell him. Well, and I tell you, that's low. That's as low as you can get. And I want to say one other thing. Dave and Margie Anderson, who spoke against me, had the courage and the integrity to talk to me about this, and I respect them for that. We're not agreeing, that's real obvious, but I respect them, and that goes a long way for me.
Yes.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask the council and the mayor, if we filled or nominated somebody, 1 or 2 commissioners, to fill the positions that are vacant right now, would it be feasible for us to send this to the Planning Commission again after they're in position?
In a perfect world, that would be wonderful. I was begged to be on this commission because it was so hamstrung. We're not able to get these commissioners. Dee, I have met every condition. To ask me to come back or to stall this, it's just arbitrary and capricious. I mean, it's,
Well, if this is not approved now, does that mean you stop all business?
No, I will continue to run it as a weekly rental with absolutely no stipulations. With the CUP, if I'm granted this, what it does is it a better thing for me? Not really in the long run, because I can't transfer it. I have conditions by the cities and laws I have to uphold with it. It's a privilege. It's a privilege that's granted to me. Right now, what I have is a privilege that's in the codes. I don't have to answer to anybody. I can, when I sell the property, this can go with it. It's basically, it's in existence.
Well, my question then is, why go forward with the CUP?
This was a courtesy to my neighbors, to give them the right so I could go through this process.
But if you did not get this CUP, it doesn't change your business at all.
No, not really. What a tourist lodging would be, if I decided I wanted to rent just a weekend to somebody, I could do it. What I feel with the weekly rentals can operate under a tourist lodging CUP. So I can do whatever I want. It's just that I have a lot more restrictions with the CUP. I mean, I think I was being incredibly courteous to the people around me by applying for this, and I feel like I should be awarded it.
Okay.